Am I right in saying, and this is just by listening to the album, but there's you can hear the fact that you're healing over the course of the record.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Or at least forgiving. Yeah. I mean, healing's it's a funny word.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, I maybe. I think I was letting go of things. Because because we didn't do it in one day. Like
Sure.
We take. I mean, some people do, but I mean, the Beatles used to. They would cut 10 tracks in 12 hours, kind of thing. Early on. I can't do that. It has to be like you open the song and it's a really slow process of letting the song kind of unfold. We didn't do the thing of a lot of times when you make a record you lay down the scratch vocals, you lay down the basic parts, and then you have 2 days where the bassist comes in, and it's just bass for 10 hours a day or something. And that's, again, great records can be made that way, of course, but for us, each song had to tell its own little story. So I think you can hear the progression as it's going along, and it's a bit of an up and down.
Well, because I wrote a couple of lyrics down, and in Angela, there's still that very much a sense of attachment in wherever you will go, I will find you, and then in Never Really Mine, I'm not coming back for you. So
right.
so there is that transition.
It's a weird contrast, isn't it? Yeah.
Or is that just depending on mood almost? Can that be one?
I don't think. Yeah, I love the contrast of those two. It doesn't make sense together. How do those two songs work on the same record? To me, it's not linear. It's not like I was here and then I'm here. It's a bit like they talk about. There's a theory of grief recovery by a wonderful theoretician called Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and it's the stages of grief essentially. And it originally, we used to think that you would start at depression and you would go through each stage and you would end at acceptance and then you were done. But anymore, people think it's more of a circle, and you go here, but then you go here, but maybe you go back there again, And that, I think that's more of what was happening with the record, where as you're grieving the things that have happened to you, there are moments of clarity and of like joy when you're actually able to let go of something or realize some insight you didn't have before. And then the next day you wake up and for some reason you're just in the shit again and you don't even know why. So I think it was the circle of all those emotions happening at the same time.
What you mentioned is interesting because, and this was in the bio as well, the kind of the paradox of finding joy in those kinds of moments. But looking at those moments, and then maybe this is too personal, but what did you discover about yourself and how you...
That I wasn't living right at all. I was a piece of shit a lot of the time. Not always, but a lot of the time. I was not a good partner. I've been very selfish for most of my life. None of these things were fun, but I was extremely grateful it felt like coming out of a fog, when you're driving, you're through the mountains and you can't see anything, and then all of a sudden, and for whatever reason, I could not figure it out on my own. It took 40 years and I couldn't get myself to that place of actually being honest with myself. So I needed something really, really bad to happen. I wish I didn't, but I did. And in that sense, I was grateful for it. And so if there's joy, it's the joy of, of insight and realizing that you can make changes, And that's still, I still think I'm trying to be on that path. It's difficult. It's so much, the ignorance is bliss thing. It was so much easier 2 years ago when life wasn't good, but I wasn't looking at it, I was just kind of living and,
You're not analyzing everything.
You're not, and so things are okay. You think everything's sort of fine. It's a nice feeling not knowing,
Right.
But things just get worse over time, and it was one thing to do that before I had children, you know, and it was maybe it was just my life I was messing up, but I can't do that anymore. They, you know, they deserve to have at least a halfway decent father.
Right. Looking at the album title and certain references throughout the sign, and one in particular in 17 plus Forever, Lost My Will and Religion. I wonder what role religion played on this record. I don't know if we have the time. But
No, that's I mean, a big role. Yeah, big role. It always has. Boy, it always feels douchey to say I'm a spiritual person. That's not, but I am. That's a big part of. I choose to make that a big part of my life, and you know, that's if you choose to believe that there is some sort of a design happening, that it's not just, you know, we're just floating and just bouncing into each other occasionally. Then when bad things happen, you usually get angry, right? There's a friction that's created. C.S. Lewis called it the problem of pain. Said if there is a good creator of the universe, then why does he allow suffering, right? People have been asking that question since day one. And so that was, I mean, I'm still right in the midst of trying to figure all that stuff out. But I still, even now, I can see that there's a design in all of it, and that there is going to be a redemption to this story. I don't know what it looks like. It's not what I thought it was going to be. It's not the happy ending that I envisioned, you know. The happy ending that I envisioned was everybody just kind of gets back together and everything's fine, you know. But that might not be the best outcome, and that's hard for me to say. But if I realize that I'm not in control of the universe, I'm barely in control of myself most of the time. So yeah, so when I'm able to let go of that stuff, then I can see that I can have faith that things will be okay if I just stick to that path.
And then, well, I have one question about the album that you recorded, and did you actually destroy it, or do you still have it somewhere?
It's destroyed.
Okay.
There exists a possibility in the universe that someone still has those files. I've done everything in my power to see that it doesn't see, and not because, look, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't this good. It wasn't as good as the one that we ended up doing. You know, it didn't have any life in it because it was made by people that were sick, that were not living healthy lives. And I mean, I guess a lot of people make records when they yeah, you can make a record just on cocaine alone. But I could never, I know I'd never ever listen to even one note of those songs without going right back into all that pain. And I just, it wasn't even a thought in my head. It was literally like, pulled out the USB when I heard what happened, when I found out the truth of everything. I pulled out the USB and just trash can. Not even like, I didn't call my manager, I didn't talk, I was like, okay, that's done. Easiest decision I've ever made in my life, you know?
With that in mind then, because I can imagine that you say, I've read more interviews, and you're very proud of what you've made now, even though it's the result of something terrible happening to you. So is that where the catharsis is? That the creative
kind of,
or at least some catharsis?
Yeah, there's some release. Yeah, there's a release in it. I don't. I'm a pretty big believer in therapy and meditation, journaling, all the things that you would say. It's not a good word, but self-care. And writing is absolutely a part of that. I mean, it's essentially when I'm writing songs, all I'm doing is what we would just call journaling. You know, basically just like a teenage girl with a diary is talking about the boyfriend that broke up with her, something like that. It's as simple as that. It is. But there's something there's something that happens when you're able to externalize those things. When you literally put them down on paper or you sing them into a microphone, you don't have to hold on to it as much anymore. It just starts the process of letting it go. It never finishes it. I've never finished a song and thought, well, that's done. That'd be great, you know. But it just doesn't work that way. But it does. It starts. For me, it can start the process, and then I can start to figure out what I need to do to keep healing, you know, from that thing.
Finally, then to kind of finish where we began with the interview. You mentioned your daughters, and now I saw on your Instagram a picture of one of them holding a guitar.
Yeah.
So, are they into music? Do they understand what you do?
They. I think so. My oldest is 6, my youngest is 4. They love music. My 4-year-old, if she's not a drummer, I don't know if there is any drummer in the world. I mean, she literally, if you give her a drumstick, it doesn't matter what she could be in front of the piano. She's still playing drums on that shit. She does not even care, and I love it so much. She's got this energy about her. And the older one is she's 6, and my music to her is so unbelievably boring. And she loves Taylor Swift is her favorite right now, which I think is so cute. So man, when we're in the car together, driving her to school, Taylor Swift, crank it up, dance, and have fun, you know. But their conception of what I do is a little bit, it's twisted in the most adorable way, because like, I'll reference something that I'm doing, and she's like, but Daddy, you're not that famous. You're not Taylor Swift, right? I'm like, no, I am not as famous as Taylor Swift, Josie. That's absolutely correct. But I kind of, I like it. And I like the fact that they're going to get to be a part of this world as they get older, too.
All right. William, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you.